Buddy, I'm Nick from Defined Life, and welcome to our Monday morning live here on the Define My Day page, where I come to you every week to discuss. I almost said day because we're so used to doing this every day, but I come to you every week to talk about the topics that matter most to you to help you get the most out of your Define My Day if you're a user, and to help you get the most out of life overall. I'm in this with you. I'm always trying to improve myself. And a lot of the struggles that you guys are going through, I am going through the same exact struggle. And so I'm going to give you a little insight into what I went through over the past week. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, you probably haven't seen some of the stuff that I've been going through. But it was definitely an inspiration for this topic today, which is taking unnecessary risks, and how to better identify which risks are the best for us to take. Before we get into that, while we're letting everybody hop on here, good morning, Anna. Good to see you. While we're letting everybody hop on, I'm going to go ahead and we'll go over the weekend. I know. First, I want to know how was your weekend? Would you guys do anything good and exciting? News has been a little bit wonky. I know that Allegheny County, where Pittsburgh is, they just shut down bars and restaurants that can't sell alcohol anymore. And you have certain people, flipping out over that. But we also have other people that are happy about it because too many people they felt were taking unnecessary risks. And that risk extends to the other people around us, not just ourselves. So we're seeing some cases rise in Allegheny County, actually higher than when we were originally locked down in April. So it's a little concerning. We'll see how that goes here going forward. But for the most part, the weekend was, at home. I was stuck a little bit because of the risks that I took. But one thing I did, I've been trying to. One of the things I did a couple of months ago during the lockdown was make homemade pizza with the boys. And it turned out really, really good. And I have not been able to find the recipe for that dough ever since. I've made pizza a couple of times since, and I've just not been able to make it work. So I'm trying. I tried some on Friday, and it came out pretty good. I made four pizzas, and I did like a regular red. I made a red with sausage. I made a red with mozzarella and basil, and then I made a white with chicken and ricotta cheese. So all of them turned out good, but just not as good as they did with this one I made 4 months ago. So we're trying again. I made some dough. I started making it last night, and I think this one takes 12 hours. I have to actually split it into 4 separate dough balls after I'm done with this video, and then put it in the fridge for another 2 days. And this is supposed to make it real light and fluffy, like a good Neapolitan style pizza. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And that's the small little things I'm getting into these days. But we're doing that. The old house is going up for sale this week, so we're looking forward to that. All the updates are done, and it's funny because we're walking through the house yesterday, looking at it, going, "Oh my God, we should have done this so long ago. We would have enjoyed it more." But everything we did led us to here, right? So we moved out. Again, that's the last of my toxic relationships, and I'm out of there, and we are off and running in the new house. But the old one looks really, really good right now, so we're really happy with it. So I wanted to, as we have been the past couple of weeks, I want to read you something from a random sampling from the "Do One Thing Every Day That Centers You" book. And let's see. Okay, this one is from Henry Frederick Emile. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. I've not heard of it before. Life is short. Oh, be swift to love. Make haste to be kind. Man, that seems appropriate these days, right? So there are 2 days worth of prompts for this quote. You can see here. You can't because it's a little bit blown out on the page, but the first day is how I love today, and you get about 6 or 7 lines there to write how you love today. And then the second one for the next day is how was I kind today? So there you go. Do one thing every day that centers you. Um, like the simple little things. It's fine. What's the one thing that I did that showed I love today? Um, like my boys, like every morning, like I was shaving this morning, and my 6-year-old Ryan walks in to the bathroom and he's staring at me. He's watching me do it, and he's happy I'm doing it because I was like scratching his face yesterday. And he's like, I said, "What's going on, man? What are you waiting for?" He's like, "I'm waiting to hug you." I said, "Okay, all right." So he waited until I finished shaving, and he got his hug. But it's like those little moments, it's crazy. On the flip side, our oldest, we're noticing something we need to start changing is that he's wants to spend more and more time, and I understand because this is how he's seeing his friends anymore. He wants to spend more and more time on his PlayStation, uh, and it's causing this behavior that we're not really liking. So, um, we're making a stronger effort to change that, doing more together. We made an agreement that tonight we were going to hang out after dinner and just hang out on the back porch and talk. And we also, there's a Facebook page for this community we live in. So my wife Lynn reached out to other parents to see if anybody wanted to get their kids together if they have kids of the same age. So they set up a little meeting later this afternoon, which is weird given the news we have with COVID. Like we've been so low in Allegheny County. I mean, like really low. And now with it rising, I mean, 90 cases in a day, that's really small compared to the overall population, but it's still not good, right? So it's just weird when you're trying to get kids together and you're like, no, like what's the responsible thing to do? And I think it's all about finding like that appropriate amount of risk you're willing to take. Like, you see the post, like I'm still going to live my life. I want my freedoms. Like we can't be one end of the spectrum or the other. And I think that, it's that huge amount of gray area that happens in our lives. And you have to decide what risks you're willing to take to better your life, to seek enjoyment, to seek improvement. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, it impacts all parts of our lives, right? It impacts, the jobs we take, the physical activity we do, what exposure we're accepting of, disease and other things. So we're going to take a look at that. But before I do that, I'm going to hit the comments real quick and say hi to who has said hi so far. Good morning, user group user. Lots of work done around the house this weekend. Actually, no, because of this right here. I was on my butt most of the weekend. I did do some work yesterday. Good morning, Lori, and good morning, Amy. Just saying, staying home all the time except to grocery shop as Arizona becomes a new hotspot for coronavirus. Still need to work on motivation. Blessed and thankful to have a pool and at the least swimming to get some exercise. Looking forward to series on purpose and goals. Yeah. So yeah, and this is part of my thing is we have a pool and I can't use it because I'm not allowed because I have stitches. Hey, good morning, Laura. And Angel says, I wish I could find one friend that my daughter can hang out with that is quarantining from everyone else. And so that's what we've been trying to do. We have friends, that obviously have kids, and they've been pretty good. But then, we have friends whose kids are starting to play sports now, and the stories I'm hearing, like my kids aren't playing sports. I'm sorry, they can go one summer without playing sports, but our friends have kids playing sports, and they're talking about how nobody is socially distancing in the sports events. Kids are close together, obviously playing the sports. Parents are close together in stands. So, now that like one graphic I saw about the virus is like when all the dots, like people being the dots, when all the dots are by themselves, it's not spreading. But when the dots start moving around and touching each other, coming into contact, it starts spreading. And then the more people you get together, the bigger groups, they start spreading exponentially. So, we could limit our exposure to select families that were social distancing, but then everybody has different definitions of what's acceptable risk for them. And then you have to start changing how things work out. So, for us, we're going to start pulling back. People that leave town. In fact, our local health authority has just said that anybody coming into Allegheny County from places like Florida and Arizona have to get tested twice within 48 hours and test negative, or self-quarantine for 2 weeks. They don't have to, but it's recommended. They're asking that people do. So we're trying to, like everybody's trying to mitigate risk in a way. And so, we're reevaluating what's acceptable for us. We've not gone to restaurants. I refuse to go to a restaurant. We've ordered in. In fact, we ordered in sushi last night. It's kind of like Lynn's belated birthday gift. So we ordered in, and we've been doing that. But I don't want to hang out with anybody. Like I don't want to say that. I don't want to hang out in big groups, right? We're skipping a 4th of July picnic that my family usually has. We're not doing a bunch of stuff that we normally would this time of year. But yeah, if we can find another family who's being responsible with, socially distancing and their kids can hang out with ours, that would be ideal. Good morning, Brenda. Hey, Helen, you missed last week. Sorry about about the crutches. What happened? So I'm going to tell you that now. Elizabeth, hi. Good morning. Good morning, Janice. So in trying to get this house up for sale, on Wednesday, I blocked off my entire day to move any remaining junk out of the house and do any repairs that I needed to do at the last minute, right? Stupid little things like swapping out some light bulbs and fixing a broken electrical plate, fixing a broken vent. But we had like some old bookcases that we were going to throw away and stuff like that. And like some stuff that didn't fit in the truck the first time. So I rented a U-Haul. And my wife and I went to the house and just grabbed like a very few things, right? Just like big bulky stuff, but like, bookcases, big IKEA bookcases we've had all the time that we were going to throw away. And Lynn said, I can use one in the basement and maybe we can use one somewhere else. So, we figured we'd take them, right? And so it's funny because I had this thought in my mind, like, should I really be doing this? It's going to take me an entire day to do it. I'm going to miss an entire day of work. I could probably pay somebody $200, or like a couple of people have thrown out numbers, but like $200, $300, pay somebody to throw it in the truck and bring over what I want and throw away the rest, right? I mean, like somebody else could have done this for us. And so, it turns into like a value of time thing and, a priority thing. But in the end, it turned into a risk thing because anytime, especially over 40, any sudden movements, right? I mean, you can really hurt yourself. So my wife and I were carrying down one of these tall bookcases. They're probably like 7 feet tall, maybe. And they're just like that particle board crap that you get at IKEA. We've had these bookcases for 15 years. And we're carrying it down to the street, to the U-Haul. And I stand it up and I'm walking away from it. And a gust of wind hit and knocked it over. And it fell in the direction that I was walking. And it hit the back of my heel. And, it hurt, but not like extremely bad. And I look back and like the back of my heel was open. And I immediately like got sick. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know how bad it was. And I went down on the ground and the guy that was there doing our bathroom, he's like, stay down, don't try to walk. I think it hit your tendon. And so it was gross. It bled a lot. And we sat there trying to decide, do we go to the ER? What do we do? Whatever. And they kept pressure on it while we're laying there. And I'm making phone calls. Lynn's making phone calls. And we end up loading me into the back of the truck, in the back of the SUV we have, and drove to the hospital, local emergency room. And they took me in. And it was, thankfully this hospital is empty all the time. Because I didn't want to go downtown. And so we went in and they looked at it and the tendon, like what happened was the edge of the bookcase, like hit the tendon, and then slid down and like scraped off the sheath around the tendon, and obviously opened the back of my heel. I ended up with 10 stitches. Everything else structurally looked okay. So they say it should just heal within 10 days. But, my thought is this. My first thought was, wow, if I would have like took one step a little bit quicker, it would have missed me completely, and I would have turned around and gone, wow, that was close, right? But 1/2 inch, like if my foot wasn't 1/2 inch forward, it could have went straight through my Achilles tendon, and I would have been out of commission for a long, long time. Would have been in a lot of pain and may have never really recovered fully from it. And so, and heaven forbid it would if I would have taken one less step away and it hit me on top of the head. I mean, who knows where that ends up. So, that what it led to basically is I have 10 stitches now, so I can't submerge it underwater. I can't go swimming with my kids. This week is going to be 85 degrees, and I can't go swimming with my kids. That's like our point of like every afternoon. That's our point of connection. And I've also been swimming laps, like trying to get in better shape, right? Wednesday night, I was in no pain the entire time. And then Wednesday night was in excruciating pain, like so much pain I was shaking. Thankfully, that went away pretty quick. And, the next couple of days was just me hobbling around. And it's in a weird place. Like they gave me a boot for the first couple of days, 4 days, I think they told me to wear it. But the problem is the boot, my shoes, everything rubs up against this stitched area. So it's like, I really can't go anywhere. Yesterday I was wearing sandals with it wrapped up, and, okay, but I still can't do anything. I can't exercise really. I can't really walk around too much because they don't want me ripping it open. And they don't want to get infected, obviously. So, it's just left me in this place of like, so it could have been a lot worse, a lot worse, but it shouldn't have happened at all. And the reason is this. There's a couple of variables in this whole scenario, but one is that my time is worth more than whatever I saved by moving this crap myself. It took me an entire day off of work, so whatever I value my hourly time at work. It cost me $65 to rent the truck for a day, plus now whatever the ER is going to cost me. And then all the time I'm subsequently losing. And I risked losing a lot more. If this were a worse injury, I mean, this could have really been a negative impact on us personally, financially, like down the line, And so, just strictly from a financial standpoint, if instead of renting the truck for $65, I paid somebody $200 or $300, it would have cost me $150 to $250, and I would have no injury, right? Now, look, do we stop doing everything? No. I can't wrap myself in bubble wrap and sit on the couch because I'm just going to die slowly from being out of shape anyway. But in any decision we make, we have to have some guidance to tell us whether, this is a smart thing for me to be doing right now. And you can see that now, like with wearing a mask, with going out in public, with, the risks we take. Should I go to work? Like the risks we take there, it's all like we all have to have sort of like kind of an internal North Star or an internal list of values and priorities that we have that direct us as to whether we're taking an appropriate risk or not. And you can see it very clearly in the protests. So, it gets politicized and people say, well, mass gatherings aren't good. So why are all these people protesting? Or why are we allowing it to happen or whatever? And so in the people that are protesting, in their hierarchy of values and purpose and whatever, the Black Lives Matter movement is worth the risk to them of getting sick, right? Now, on the flip side, like around here, the problem we've had is that, and they've identified that a major risk for us isn't the protests, it's people drinking in bars. It's people sitting indoors, drinking in close contact for an extended period of time, So that's why they've shut down drinking in the local area. And so that person is making the decision saying, whatever the risk is for the virus, it's more important for me to be social and to be sitting here and drinking, right? Now, look, we can make that trivial or whatever. I mean, like, I understand people need to be social, but you can't equate the two things. Like if somebody different people have different hierarchy. The problem is, overall public health and trying to manage that. And that's where local politicians and local health people hopefully have our best interest in mind and how they're trying to mitigate risk and try to find a proper place in that sliding scale to make sure that we end up as healthy as possible while also being healthy as a society, Real quick, I'm going to hit the comments and then we'll get back to this. Sis says, we were at a birthday party, teen dance, where there were no masks or social distancing going on this weekend. Thankfully, there are very few corona cases in our area. And so that's how I felt too. That's why we felt a little bit more courageous in getting together with people through the past weeks, but now it's getting a little weird. Amy says, yikes, so sorry about your accident. Yeah, me too. Could have been a lot worse though. Glad it wasn't worse. Yes. Hope I heal quickly. Yes, me too. As long as there's no infection, right? Everything looks good so far. So I think we're good. This happened on Wednesday. So we're 5 days into it and we look to be okay. 5 more days before I can really do anything. Elizabeth says, I can relate. I ended up with a broken ankle trying to take care of someone else's well-being. And it's kind of like, so this is sort of the thing, like when somebody asks you for help, like, can you help me move my piano? Right? I didn't want to ask anybody I asked people that 13 years ago when we originally moved. I bought Lynn a piano for her birthday, but I was not willing to ask anybody that now because it's dangerous. Like, I don't want anybody hurting themselves trying to move my piano. And so, you have to think about that. Is it like, if I wouldn't do it for myself based on my own risk profile, why would I do it for somebody else out of obligation or feeling bad or whatever? So like, you don't want to risk, doing something outside of what you're willing to accept. Hey Sherry, it's okay. I'll forgive you. It's okay. You're late. Debbie was also late, but here, and we'll catch up the replay. Sorry to hear about the accident. Hopefully you will heal and recover quickly, completely. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, a lot of this, the problem that a lot of people experience is if we don't have a solid sense of what we're supposed to be doing, it's hard to identify the things that we're not supposed to be doing. So this requires us to really consistently and constantly evaluate our purpose and keep our daily actions in line with our purpose. Excuse me. And so, in the same way that, we need to continuously, use Define My Day to make sure our daily actions are moving toward our purpose. We don't want to be taking daily actions that counteract that purpose, that take us away from that purpose. And that involves taking risks that are counterproductive. And so the closer we align our daily actions, the better the decision we can make what to do and what not to do. And so that's really, your purpose really defines what an acceptable risk for you is, right? If your purpose is to feed the people that need food in this time of crisis, then you're going to be willing to take on the risk of exposure to other people and try to deliver food to people or work at a food bank or something like that, right? So you're going to be willing to take that risk. And the same goes for business owners. If a business owner, if their purpose is financial security for their family, if their purpose is, to do whatever they can, and we don't know what the situation is. A lot of people, like essential workers, a lot of them were making minimum wage in the first place. They can't quit working. They will be broke. So for them, it's imperative that they take the risk and keep going to work even if it risks bringing that virus home to, themselves or somebody, elderly or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, no food is going to be worse than potentially getting the virus. And so, we need to like look at what our, and that's why people make certain decisions they make, I guess is my point there. So your purpose defines the acceptable risk you're willing to take. So, in me, my purpose in life is to, bring this define my day message to as many people as possible, to make sure that my family is taken care of, to spend time, to be available, to be healthy and available for my kids. In this action I took Wednesday, look, nobody can predict that a bookshelf is going to fall on you, but it didn't line up with my purpose and my goals at all. It was just convenient at the time. And I had, like, it would even not be as bad if I didn't have that little voice in my head going, hey, you really shouldn't be doing this today. Like, I heard that so many times in days leading up to me scheduling this and blocking off my Wednesday. So, it's almost just like, like the universe saying, duh, like it could have been the universe hitting me in the head, instead missing me and hitting me in the ankle. I mean, like, really, I need to make better decisions is what this said to me. So, in the case of a lot of risk, there's a couple things we can do, as we look at all of it. One, make sure that the risks you're taking are worthwhile. Make sure that the risks you're taking are for a reason. There's a purpose behind it. If you're a medical personnel, you're taking a risk because you want other people to be healthy. If you are an essential worker, you're taking the risk because you need to put food on your table and pay your bills. If you are taking the risk by going to a bar, I have a little bit less respect for that. I understand people need to be social, but for me, in my opinion, that is kind of, it's like, there's other ways to be social that are maybe a little bit less risky. But I don't want to, get too on people for this, but we all need to look at, what's acceptable, right? I mean, like, and so, there's things that I won't do anymore now that I have kids. Like, I will never go skydiving because, as fun as I think it might be, it's just a little bit too dangerous for me. I want to make sure that I can see my kids. I won't go skiing because, as much as I liked snowboarding when I was in my 20s, I need to make sure that I am healthy and can provide for my kids. And part of that is me being able to walk around and not worry about, like, I'm just not, like, skiing has not been part of my life. I'm not good enough, and my risk for getting injured is way too high for me right now, right? So there's decisions I make every day that where I have to decide, like, is this risk worth it? Yeah, ski vacation, a ski trip with friends over the weekend would be awesome. It would be a blast. But for me, the risk is too high. I won't do it. There's other things I will do, right? Even making decisions for my boys. Like, I always said that I would never let my oldest son play tackle football until he got into high school. He could play flag. But at the time we decided 2 years ago to let him play tackle football, I was noticing some social things that he just wasn't quite, like, relating to other kids very well. I just saw some things, like some beginnings of things that, he was really apprehensive, didn't have a lot of confidence, and he loved football. So Lynn and I had a conversation. We had a conversation with him. He played 2 years, but the second year suffered a concussion. And so the conversation with him was that, we're not, I don't think we're going to do this anymore. We watched videos, documentaries about, football concussions and things. And we talked with him, and he agreed that the risk is not worth what he gets out of it. So, the team atmosphere was great. The exercise was great. The hard work is great. But the risk, especially for a kid that is smart as him, is not worth it. So we decided at that point in time, he can go back to playing other sports. He can play flag football, but he's not going to play tackle football anymore. Other parts, like, how else do we mitigate risk? We can delay it, put off risky things for as long as possible. We can shift it. Other people are better able to handle certain risks. In my case, I could pay somebody else, somebody younger, maybe somebody in better shape, somebody more better equipped with better equipment to do some of the things that I would have been doing just, to save a buck or, for any other reason. So you can shift risk onto somebody else. You don't want to do it irresponsibly, but that's what happens. We're shifting risk onto medical personnel. We're shifting risk onto essential workers. We're shifting risk onto other people when we use DoorDash. It sounds callous, but it's what happens. Other people are more willing to take risks that you might not be, depending on the situation. And we want to mitigate it. And that's the whole reason that they're doing the social distancing and things like that. It's the easiest thing that I can talk about right now. But you want to mitigate your risk. You want to say, is this behavior in line with what I want to do? If it is, how can I minimize the risk of anything going wrong? Of it, of me getting hurt, like whatever it might be. For me, it can be small decisions or big decisions, right? It's like, I think to myself, well, how stupid was I to think that I should stand up a 7-foot tall thing in the middle of the street on a day that had a couple of wind gusts? Probably not a good idea. I just wasn't thinking. So if I think things through a little bit more, maybe I would have thought that, I should just lay it down. That would be the smarter move, right? But you can also just mitigate risk by educating yourself, understanding best practices. And again, going back to the virus scenario, wearing a mask, social distancing, not engaging in certain risky behaviors, like there's mitigating risk that way. So if you still want to see people, and that's the way we've been looking at it, we still want to see people. We still want to see our friends. We still want to hang out. We still want to be social. So how do we mitigate it? Well, we limit how many people that we see at once. We limit it to people that have been following the social distancing precautions in their own lives. We don't see people every day. So and that's even a simple example right there. You can see people every night, but if you see people every other night, you're cutting your risk in half. And so, there's certain things that if you can mitigate the risk, it slows down the velocity of transmission, and you can still do things while not being, not increasing your risk of infection. But we sometimes get to this point where we have to start pulling back. We have to reassess the risk and start pulling back a little bit more. So it just depends. But the thing you want to do is make sure that it's aligned with your goals, right? We have to make sure it's aligned with our goals. So if our goal is to be happy and healthy, then we need to make decisions that align with being happy and healthy. It's worth the risk of injury to go running, or to use a rowing machine, or to do aerobic exercise, right? There's risk in injuring yourself there, but it's probably worth it because you're going to gain health from it, right? Now, you can mitigate risk by picking exercise that is less likely to lead to injury, like swimming, something lower impact. It just depends on what your tolerance is for risk. For me, I lift weights because I like lifting weights, right? So I risk certain injuries lifting weights over doing something else low impact, but it's more in line with who I want to be and my mission in life. Now, I might even change that. If I suffer a bad injury, I might change that opinion. But it's the risk, the weight. That's my risk profile. So, one of the things, funny, because one of the things I'm doing tomorrow, I'm going to see the eye doctor. And the eye doctor to me is high risk, but they won't give me a new package of contacts unless I go in for an eye appointment. So I have to take that risk because I have to have contacts. I have to be able to see. So I have to take the risk and go face to face with an eye doctor for half an hour. And I'm going to make it really clear that I'm not comfortable with it. And I'm going to be wearing a mask, and I'm going to make sure he's wearing a mask, and I'm going to mitigate the risk as much as I can. But I need contacts, right? So we do what we can. I'm not going to the dentist. I'm brushing and flossing every damn day, I'll tell you that. So the biggest problem in all of this, the biggest problem that people run into is engaging in risky behavior or engaging in risks that are not in line with their purpose and goals. And that's the thing we need to keep in mind through anything going forward. Is the payoff worth the risk? Is the reward worth the risk? If the answer to that question is no, then we need to either mitigate the risk or change things completely. But you need to be evaluating that in the decisions you make, just to make sure that we're not engaging in things that are really going to hurt us in the long run over helping us reach our goals and do things that are healthy. Sis says, we had 3 younger men come and help move my awkward heavy treadmill upstairs this weekend. So thankful for their help, but I was very concerned for their well-being. And now try to remember their sacrifices motivation to use it more. Yeah, that's very good. How about that for finding purpose in something, right? I love it. Hello, Sophie in Anaheim. I believe if we don't take risk, we don't grow. So yeah, so you have to take risks. Like, you don't have to take, I don't know if you have to take risks to grow, but you do take measured risks, again, aligned with your purpose. You don't want to take a risk that has nothing to do with where you're going in life. And that's I think the question, and that's really the core of what we're talking about right now, is that there's a range of risks that people can engage in every day, that people can take every day. If those risks have purpose, if the risks have meaning, then okay. Like if you can attach a purpose to it, if it's in line with your purpose, then it's good. But if the risk can actually take away from where you want to go, if it takes you in the wrong direction, then why are we engaging in it? And that's kind of the core of this whole thing. Debbie says, for myself, before I do something, I ask, is this a need or is it a want? And Debbie, I think I remember you saying this before. This is good. Will this enhance or risk my life journey? For now, I need to safeguard my family and myself, and hopefully the risks will diminish as time goes on. My feeling exactly. If not, it is my best line of defense to think through what I want to do and make the best decision I can. And that's very much so. I'm going to, again, attach this to COVID. So right now, assuming that a vaccine comes out in 6 months to 9 months, right? Assuming that we get things under control, that, we have better treatments for it and whatever, that the risk is lower. Assuming all of that, I can diminish my social life and diminish the things I do for that amount of time. If that doesn't turn out to be true, then I reassess as time goes on. And I'll tell you, look, we never left the house except to go shopping for like every week or two back in April and May. We never left the house. When we went to our closing for the house is the first time we did anything other than me going out grocery shopping. Now, as things started clearing up in southwestern Pennsylvania, as we had very few cases, we started doing more. We started going out more. We didn't take family trips to the store, but we started making little miscellaneous runs. Lynn went to Target. We saw friends. But now that things are getting a little crazy again, we're going to start pulling back again. And we're completely prepared to hang out at home and just do things around the house. And you have to reassess it based on current situations. Angel had to go to the eye doctor appointment. They used a face shield. I hope so. I hope that's what's going on here. And I'm glad that's an option. Sophie says, so 2 of my friends will not meet up for the summer. They are already of the virus. They will meet up till 2022. Life is short. We need to still enjoy life. I will not stay cooped up in the house all day. Yeah, and I think, you don't have to stay cooped up in the house all day. But I think your friends have looked at, their risks and have decided that, it's not worth meeting up right now. And I don't know that it needs to be until 2022. I think things may change within the next 6 months or less. But some people, I don't think it's a matter of you know stopping life. I think it's just a matter of changing it. And I think a lot could be worse. I think we're going to find out that a lot more people have this than originally reported. I thought it was, early on more widespread than was being reported, because like random celebrities were coming back from Italy infected like early on in March. And my thought was like, if there's so few people that have it, how can like just a random person on a plane have it too? So I think you're going to see, as testing increases, a lot more people have it. It just spreads so fast. It spreads so fast, and then you have these extreme cases that overrun hospitals. So I think there's you're going to see more of a comfort level as we figure out that a lot more people had it. But there's still too many unknowns, so people are taking it slow, and I can't get too upset with anybody for doing that. Sorry for the injury. Feel better soon. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you. Yeah, it feels fine right now. It's a little bit weird because it's still like a little sore, and so I'm actually hurting my other foot because I'm putting undue pressure on my other foot. And let's be frank, I'm a little overweight. I put on the COVID-19 now, so that's not good. But talking about risk, that's a discussion that my wife and I have had. We actually had it this morning, that we need to start holding each other more accountable on a health standpoint. So I am doubling down on diet at this point. Not so much dieting, but making sure that we have a healthy diet going forward, because I am not willing to take on any more health risks right now, and I need to drop the weight, and that needs to happen without question. So we got to change. We got to change our habits and be a little bit more disciplined in there. We've dealt with other things. We've had other things we've been focusing on, but other things need to change now. um, what's the best way to explain today's topic to male clients and friends without causing them to tune me out as nonsense or bruising the male ego? I think today's point is huge. Thank you for that, first of all. It's hard. A lot of people don't understand it. Um, and it's politicized a lot. So, the best way to explain it, I don't know. Other than how I've already explained it today. I think that it's just, it's hard to have a conversation with someone about their purpose in life. People aren't usually going that deep, unless you have a couple of drinks at midnight. Um, so it's hard. I guess you could be pointed about it and say, what are you living for? Like what's your goal in life? And then follow it up with, how does this behavior line up with that? And you might actually be surprised at they might even have a good response. I understand, like people that want, it's hard because you see people that want to exercise their freedoms, but then also want to deny other people their freedoms. So that's a hard discussion to have with people once in a while. But a lot of people get very defensive about decisions they make and things they're doing. And I think that, that's a problem I've had even in this whole process with Defined Life, is that you find that there's people that are already doing really healthy things and really don't need any help because they've just been living it so well and they inherently know what to do. And then there's people on the other end of the spectrum that are incredibly unhealthy, that are making really bad decisions, that are like, they're so in a bad mental space, they can't take feedback and they can't take advice and they can't take, they're not even open to reading or trying to see another point of view. And what you have then, what you're left with is these people in the middle that, they're like, I kind of equate it to like, there's like this fence, right? And anybody that's on the fence or on close to either side of the fence, I try to get them to the healthy side of the fence and improving small steps going forward, right? So just kind of like taking that little bit of like curiosity that they have in their mind about improving and about leading a healthier life. I try to help them, encourage them to grow that curiosity and become just a little bit more efficient and a little bit more focused on making the right choices. So you really can't, and it's sad because there's people that we love in our lives that will never, they're so far away from that line that they're never going to make healthy choices unless something dramatic happens and shakes them out of that. And a lot of times that's what has to happen for people. But unfortunately, there's nothing we can do there. We can't make somebody understand. We can try to live by example, which I try to do. We can try to offer up different points of view. We can try to offer up, little bits of knowledge. But for the most part, you have to. It's almost like you're sort of fishing for those people that are open to understanding, and that's what we've been doing with our business, is understanding that, look, some people just are not going to get it. They're not going to be open to getting it, and we can't have an impact on them. So, our time needs to be spent on the people that watch the videos, the people that buy the book, the people that email questions, the people that, that really want to grow, that are interested in looking at themselves, taking responsibility for the results, and growing. And I got to tell you, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I was not somebody open to feedback. I thought I knew everything. And the more when I realized like I needed the change is when it was like, okay, I don't know exactly what I need to change, but I know I need to be more open to listening to other people or to taking in new ideas. And so as I went forward with that, that's how that kind of broke for me. But it takes a long time. That was a long process for me, and I'm still going through it. We had a conversation Friday night. I think it was Friday night with a friend of mine, uh, and this was like 5 beers in, and we're talking, and and my point is this: is I can't personally rationalize the jerk things that still happen in my mind with who I am on a daily basis. Because I had a reaction to somebody earlier in the week or maybe the week previous that I was really ashamed of. And I really didn't act on it in any way, but I had this thought that, some person did something and it was fairly innocent. But they did something and I had this like harsh reaction in my mind. And so my friend and I were talking about this is like, the awareness is great. But I still feel like I have a lot of work to do to change that gut response that I have when, something comes up that triggers this thing in my mind. And so, I'd like to say I got it all figured out, but I don't. And, continuing to work on that, being open to the change is it, but it's hard. You can't whack somebody in the head with it. I feel like I wish we could. I wish we could, because there's so many people out there that you see, they're like, God, you're making bad decisions. You're hurting yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot. You are making your life miserable. The things you're doing, this list of things you're doing right now is hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. But as soon as you do that, it's an indictment, and they react, they get defensive, they lash out, and nothing good happens. I mean, very seldom does something good happen. So, how do you work with that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I think I go with having purpose. I go with having integrity. I go with having empathy. And I think if we can keep preaching those values, the more people that hop on board, the better. And if we can get more people on that train, then hopefully others come along, and it just has this momentum effect. So that's my answer to that. It's hard. It's hard. Sophie says, I wonder if I have COVID-19. I've been working since March. My company never shut down. We wear masks and social distance, and I temp check every day. Yeah, and yeah, I've wondered it about myself also. Like you never know, like that sniffle that I had because it's so like the I mean asymptomatic all the way to being on a ventilator. The symptoms are so drastic, and I back in January, I got extremely sick. Nobody else in my house did, so that makes me think that it wasn't COVID. But I was only in contact with the other person I knew was sick for like 20 minutes. And even then, it was very limited. But I got sick like 2 days later and was dreadfully sick for 3 or 4 days. And I don't know, was that it? I don't know. But, I just, we're going to find out more. I think we just need to keep testing, but yeah. And Sophie, I just stay safe. Stay safe. Do what you can, mitigate your risk. Do what you have to do. I mean, there's certain things that you're going to be again within, what you feel is right. But stay safe. Stacy says, as of right now, I'm not planning on doing social things with friends until next year. I'm assessing safety based on the choices and risks they take in their life. I'm doing the same thing. I don't need to take on their risky choices. I agree. The carriers I consider a bigger risk factor than the actively sick. No, thank you. Trying to get creative on finding new fun activities. Yeah, I agree. And I think this, reconnect with nature, reconnect with just being outside, with reading. Like this isn't bad. Like this is an opportunity. It is bad, but it is an opportunity to shift things around a little bit. And I'm going to try to do the best I can with that. And looking forward to the fall. My kids, I don't think we're going to send them to school. And I want them to go to school. I want them to meet new friends. I want them to enjoy life. But I don't think it's worth the risk. So, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we're going to keep assessing as we go forward. But, sometimes we just have to make the safer choice in my mind. Yep, I'm right there with you. I'm not going out to eat until it's completely safe. I will pick up or carry out. I agree. I agree. I am not going to a restaurant. My friends have even asked, like, you want to go? I'm like, nope, not a chance, not a chance. And Lynn was considering going out to meet somebody for a drink later this week, and she was on the fence about it. Like, she wants to see this friend, and we've actually seen this friend at home. But she was going to go out and go to a patio restaurant and sit outside and socially distance and all that stuff. But now with what's going on right now, not a chance. Excuse me, I gotta sneeze. In all of this, I'm just noticing now. In all of this, I forgot to take my allergy medicine for this entire weekend. In fact, I don't think I've taken it since Wednesday, since I got injured. So, oh, it's weird how patterns of behavior can get shifted that much and screw you up. And here I am now, like I can feel like the itchiness, like my throat's itchy. Stupid dummy. All right, so this week we are talking about purpose. So last week, and how did you do with affirmations? Did you watch the affirmations video last week? The videos last week? Did you work on your affirmations? Was that helpful? Let me know. This week we're going to talk about purpose. We're going to talk about because we're going to really be going into the goals page of Define My Day. So we're going to talk about how we figure out what our goals even are. First we have to start with purpose, and we have to start with values. And when we have a strong indication of our purpose and values, we can then create goals that lead us toward that vision of ourselves that we want to work toward. So we're going to be talking about that each morning. 6 o'clock we'll release a new video, Tuesday through Friday. That'll go through that. Please leave us a comment. Let us know how things are going with that, what you think about it. But yeah, I think this having a strong sense of purpose helps you. It motivates you. It gives you that internal drive to accomplish something. It gives you that reason to keep on going, to keep improving. It gives you when you're going through pain, it gives that purpose for pain. What is this teaching me? A lot of times, myself included, I didn't know what my purpose was for a very long time, but I knew what felt right for me. And the more I moved toward that feeling, it was almost like fog lifting, right? And I'm still not completely clear. Like, I can see my life 2 years from now. I can't see my life yet 20 years from now. I have a vague idea of what I want that to be, but I don't know. I'm not absolutely positively certain. But I do know the direction I'm going in now feels better than it ever has before. And that is because I'm working toward the things that feel purposeful for me right now. And that is you guys, and that is my family. And I'm going to keep working toward that, and the details will become more clear. And that's what I want for you. That's what I want for you to figure out right now is what is right for you. What is the direction that you need to be going? And are your actions today in line with where you want to be in life? What risks are you taking right now that are unnecessary and that these actions may even stop you from reaching the potential that you have? All right, I'm going to read these last couple of comments, and then I'm going to get out of here and get on with my day. In fact, I'm going to get on with making some of these videos. Debbie says, I've experienced some pushback from some who are totally okay with gathering in big groups when I decline their invitation. It's definitely uncomfortable, and I accept that we have to agree to disagree while maintaining a positive relationship. We are living in odd times. Yeah, and so it's funny because Lynn and I talked about this. Actually, we talked about this with the couple that we were with the other night about how like being, like you have to be comfortable with your decisions even when other people don't like your decisions or don't agree with your decisions. The stronger you are in your purpose, the easier it is to make those hard decisions and say, this is my line. This is what I won't do. This is what I am doing. And the stronger you are in your purpose, the more you can set those boundaries. And other people will respect that. The people that don't respect it, then that's kind of their problem, And you learn about people that way too. You learn, like the people that don't respect it, you learn. And that's, when I see, like there's some people I see that are like, there was a restaurant in Pittsburgh that no social distancing, no masks, completely disregarding the county guidelines. And they got blasted in the media about it. But then I also saw some people going, hey, let's go there. Let's support this guy. And like, so I don't agree. I don't agree. But, like you do you and I'll do me. And at the end of this, whatever happens, happens. But I'm also not going to be hanging out with that person in person, right? If you're doing stuff like that, then we're kind of on separate paths. And when we come around to the other side of this, maybe we'll meet up again, right? So it's it is odd. It is very odd. So having that positive relationship, understanding, having some empathy, understanding that they have their own priorities and they don't align with yours, and that can be okay. Sheila, good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Sandy, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Janice says, the lesson last week was great and this week sounds good. We'll be checking them out. Thank you, Janice. Appreciate it. And along the way, let me know. Yeah, be careful. Try over here too. Yep. Yeah, and along the way, let us know. Leave us some comments on the videos. Let us know how things are going. If you need more detail about anything. If you're going through the video and a question comes up or something wasn't clear, let us know, because that helps us get, understand that we're not being clear in how we discuss some of these topics. And we can either address it in a later video or maybe a supplemental video, that week. Like we might even be able to just drop something really quick in the afternoon or something like that. Or we might address it in a subsequent video. But either way, I want to make sure you guys are taken care of. So, but that's it for this week. I hope everybody stays safe. I hope you take the risks that are aligned with your purpose. Keep moving forward, define your day, and stay safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.